Verse 18 shifts from personal confession to corporate concern. Do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Psalm 51, verse 18. The petition, do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion, moves beyond David's individual sin. The phrase, in thy good pleasure, refers to God's sovereign will and gracious favor. David asks God to act according to his own benevolent purposes. The word Zion refers to Jerusalem, the city of God. Zion represents God's dwelling place among his people. The request, build thou the walls of Jerusalem, uses physical language for spiritual reality. Walls provide protection and security. A city without walls stands vulnerable to its enemies. David recognizes that his sin has consequences beyond himself. The king's transgression affects the entire nation. When leaders fall into sin, the people suffer. David's adultery and murder weakened the moral foundation of Israel. Sin breaks down barriers. Transgression creates breaches in the walls of righteousness that guard God's people. The connection between verses 17 and 18 reveals an important principle. A broken heart leads to concern for God's people. True repentance never remains self-centered. David moves from my sin to thy Zion. Personal restoration produces corporate responsibility. The forgiven sinner cares about the spiritual condition of others. Verse 19 describes the result of restoration. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then shall they offer bullocks upon thine altar. Psalm 51, verse 19. After God rebuilds Jerusalem's walls, proper worship will resume. The phrase, shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, contrasts with verse 16. Earlier, David said, God desires not sacrifice. Now he speaks of sacrifices that please God. The term sacrifices of righteousness describes offerings presented with right hearts. These sacrifices come from people who walk in obedience. The burnt offering was consumed on the altar, representing total dedication to God. Then shall they offer bullocks upon thine altar describes the restoration of proper worship. The word they displays corporate worship. The people will bring offerings. Bullocks refers to expensive sacrifices. Bulls cost more than sheep or goats. This detail suggests wholehearted devotion and generous giving. These verses teach that individual repentance and corporate worship connect. David's personal sin affected the nation's spiritual life. His restoration would contribute to the nation's spiritual health. Churches flourish when members walk in righteousness. Congregations suffer when leaders fall into sin. The passage reveals God's concern for his people. God cares about both Zion's walls and Jerusalem's worship. Individual believers matter, but so does the collective body. God desires a people who worship him in spirit and truth. He wants communities that honor his name. The progression from broken heart to blessed worship shows God's redemptive pattern. Confession leads to restoration. Restoration results in protection, and security enables proper worship. God rebuilds what sin destroys. He restores what transgressions ruin. His grace extends beyond the individual to encompass his entire people,